Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is my hope and prayer that this video is going to find you guys in good health. Personally, I'm fine. Kisumu is also fantastic. Maybe you could let me know where you are watching this video from. On the day William Samoei Arap Ruto was sworn in as the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya, Kenyans observed the presence of one man at State House. The presence of Harun Ayadin. And the presence of Harun Ayadin made the Kenyans to question one thing. The issue of Miguna Miguna. Because Harun Ayadin had been deported from the country by the government, just as Miguna Miguna was deported from the country by the government. And for those who remember, William Ruto was scheduled to travel to, was it Tanzania, with Harun Ayadin, Ndindi Nyoro, and Oscar Sudi. Along the way, something happened. Their plane was stopped from taking off, and Harun Ayadin was deported. And his presence at State House on that particular day raised the question of Miguna Miguna, because majority of Kenyans saw how Miguna Miguna was optimistic that William Ruto was going to remove the red alerts immediately he was sworn in. But that did not happen. So yesterday, Miguna Miguna notified Kenyans that he already received his passport. This is what he posted. Let me just read it for you. 1,697 days after Uhuru Kenyatta, Raila Odinga, Fred Matiang'i, Karanja Kibicho, and Kihalangwa conspired to illegally seize and destroy my Kenyan passport, President William Ruto has had a new one delivered to me, waiting for the lifting of red alert. You know, when Miguna Miguna was deported outside the country, he used to include despot Uhuru Kenyatta, William Ruto, and the rest. Later on, after the handshake, he started including the name of Raila Odinga. But along the way, he started leaving out William Ruto. So Miguna Miguna became one of William Ruto's mouthpieces online. So when William Ruto was declared the president-elect, Miguna Miguna told the Kenyans that he wanted to witness the swearing-in ceremony. And that's why Kenyans were eagerly awaiting for Miguna Miguna to come to the country. But he was never allowed to come back. So I want us to look at why William Ruto finally decided to issue Miguna Miguna with a passport. Because it's all politics. Because remember, and I want to be on record, if there are two things which I will always blame Raila Odinga for during the handshake era, is the issue of Miguna Miguna. Raila Odinga had the opportunity. He had the capacity. Raila Odinga had the goodwill to persuade President Uhuru Kenyatta to issue Miguna Miguna with his passport. Even if they were going to leave that red alert. But Miguna Miguna ought to have been issued with a passport. That's one area which Raila Odinga failed me as a person. And I know so many Kenyans were also failed by Raila Odinga. In fact, if Raila Odinga lost support among some Kenyans, it's because of the issue of Miguna Miguna. Because you can't argue that Miguna Miguna is not a Kenyan. And the courts, which Jubilee government was known for disregarded, the court order which Jubilee government was known for disregarded a court order which James Orengo, Haminwa, and Harvey, who are being paid by Raila Odinga to pursue Miguna Miguna case, that order ought to have been implemented, especially under the handshake. The other thing which personally I normally blame Raila Odinga for is the issue of electoral reforms. There was no way Raila Odinga would have gone into this election with Wafula Chebukati if he was serious, especially with the handshake. But let us focus on Miguna Miguna. Why do you think William Ruto decided to personally organized the delivery of Miguna Miguna's passport to him in Canada. Which means once that red alert is removed, Miguna Miguna will be free to come to Kenya. And I know, even if he comes to Kenya, the next day, or it won't take long, before a fallout between him and Ruto will also emerge. But he needs to make the noise in the country. So why do you think William Ruto decided to issue him with a passport? Number one, I think William Ruto is laying the ground for his Kisumu visit. You know, so many people down here are now happy that finally Miguna Miguna will be coming back to the country. And William Ruto can brag about it, that, you know, your son was kicked out of the country. It has, I'm just in office less than a month, and I've already issued him with the passport, so we're just waiting for the process of removing the red alerts. And for me, that's a huge stride by the deputy president. He got that right. Because now I was asking myself, like when Miguna Miguna made that update, why would Uhuru deny Miguna a chance to have his passport? You know? Why? What benefit? Why would Raila Odinga not? Of course, Raila Odinga, before the handshake took shape, he really tried to ensure that Miguna Miguna stayed. All those attempts were thwarted. I remember Matakwebo Bimba, Tulo, the guy you saw watching Miguna Miguna was on the other side of the glass. He was here with the big eyes like this. Now the MCA for Gorogocho was the last man standing with Miguna Miguna. Yeah, so William Ruto has scored big on that. So for me, I view it as part of his strategy to lay the grounds for his Kisumu visit. Of course, people will now be, okay, this guy can work. He has already allowed Miguna Miguna to come back. Number two, I also tend to think that it is part of William Ruto's strategy to reverse most of illegal actions by President Uhuru Kenyatta. You know, Miguna Miguna was deported. Illegal action. He has reversed that. The issue of the port, William Ruto reversed. The issue of the judges, which Uhuru Kenyatta refused to appoint, Ruto has appointed. So I think moving forward, there are so many things which William Ruto are going to do just to reverse whatever Uhuru Kenyatta had actioned in the past. So I tend to think that it's just wider strategy of Ruto to disregard most of the things which Uhuru did. Number three, I'm also convinced that William Ruto is out to disapprove Kenyans. Because majority of Kenyans always believe that William Ruto does not have reform credentials. That's the truth. But because he doesn't have reform credentials, he must disapprove Kenyans. One way of disapproving Kenyans, Miguna Miguna issue. Because remember, when they were in government, I remember how Kipchumba Murkomen came to the defense of that deportation of Miguna Miguna. And later on, after I falling out with Uhuru, I also saw Kipchumba Murkomen apologizing. People like Ndindi Nyoro actually justified the deportation. People like Eden Duale and the rest. So I think William Ruto is actually out, in my view, to disapprove Kenyans that indeed he's a reformist. Remember, the failure by president to appoint those judges were illegal. And the Kenyans were like, he ought to have appointed the judges. Now he has done it. Ruto has done it. Reform credentials. So basically, moving forward, Kenyans will be expecting, I'll be keenly following the kind of people William Ruto is going to appoint to the cabinet, because those appointments are going to determine whether he's going to be a different Ruto from what people have known before, or is still going to be just the same Ruto. So that reform credentials. Number four, in my view, I think it could be a reaction to reaction by Kenyans following the invitation of Aaron Ayadin into the country. Because Aaron Ayadin attended the swearing-in ceremony of William Ruto. He was deported, then allowed. How was the deportation lifted? Because Miguna Miguna was on record that really he wanted to come back. So I think because Kenyans were like, okay, Miguna, people were mocking Ruto, were mocking Miguna, okay, Miguna, you will not be able to come back. So I think those reaction is what Ruto reacted to. The fact that he invited Aaron Ayadin, who was deported. But Miguna Miguna, who was also deported, and a Kenyan could not be invited. So in my view, I think it was part of his wider strategy to react to those reactions by Kenyans. And lastly, I think William Ruto is keen on doing one thing: gather all, scatter none strategy, where you make sure everybody you bring on board, and those who are on board already, you don't scatter them. That's a strategy which is very good strategy, politically speaking. In ODM, Babu Namwamba had this strategy of gather on, scatter none. But those in ODM were like, okay, you are either this way, you leave, or you stay. So I think William Ruto is going to apply that strategy of gather all, scatter none. I don't know what you think. What is your take on the reasons why Ruto actually delivered Miguna Miguna? I also tend to think that move is actually shaming to Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, who could not do that simple act. Thank you guys, and please may you have a good day. Bye-bye.